Department of Revenue. And they allow this to be done on a quarterly basis. I believe that they would even allow it on a monthly basis. I'm trying to think. When I had Passion Live downtown Greensboro, that was one of the few places where, of course, you have your sales and use tax at the restaurant and bar as well, but that was in Louisville. I remember rendering the payment every month because we had, of course, retail of merchandise. I have not had retail, that aspect, that taxation, even though I still have and maintain the sales and use tax account. I file zero taxation or zero tax returns each quarter or each period at this juncture because I run mainly just the consulting aspect of my firm. And anything that is sold retail is done by the third-party merchandise vendors, the maker vendors that I mentioned to you before. I believe I mentioned those last week, and they handle the taxes for their, for their respective areas. And where they don't, like my new relationship with Teespring, I'll soon find out exactly how that works with regards to our calendar year, because my corporation is on a calendar year. Some of you will be on a fiscal year. So it's just so much easier to just take the 7%, if it's 7%, if it's 6.5, whatever it is, have that go into a separate account. Do it each day with your accounting. Some of you are not familiar with the fact, and some of you think that, and we often do. And I don't know why people just in general, we are inclined to believe that when we see someone's success or we see them in a certain place in their life, that they automatically got there magically and without any effort and without any experience. That could not be further from the truth. In my particular instance, I began working when I was 14. I started my first job was at Carolina Thrift, so it should not be any surprise to anyone how much I love thrifting. But I was what they called a running back, and I would put clothes back out from the fitting room that people, of course, had tried on. From there, I tried my hand at McDonald's. It's just not for me. I was there for like 2 days. And then, and this is where the relevance comes into play, I then, based on the fact that my mom had really good relationships with her work as a seamstress, an alterations manager at most of the department stores at the Four Seasons Mall, she put in a good reference for me at one of the collectible shops, Will Stationer. And I became the first youth assistant manager. And I was inclined to it. And what I'm getting at is in that retail experience, and from that point, I then went on to have over a decade's worth of managerial experience in the traditional retail market. At the end of the day, when you're processing all sales, on the accounting, you have that option to list what is for taxation and what is actually the generated profits for that day, or just the gross income. Okay, it's very easy to separate those things in the beginning. Now, let's get into know exactly how much it is. I've stated this. I'll restate it. You need only contact North Carolina Department of Revenue. I can give you names, but of course I don't think it's appropriate to disclose that information just for the integrity of business relations through the North Carolina Department of Revenue. Now, if you are one of my clients, I readily disclose that information. And these are individuals who have the title, they have the position with the North Carolina Department of Revenue. So it's not like they're secret. They're not, I'm not privy to just them because of some type of hookup. None of that exists. I'm just suggesting to you that if you're familiar with, for instance, working with the North Carolina Secretary of State on a regular basis, there are certain people that you will come to familiarize yourself with when calling to the North Carolina Secretary of State. And that holds true with any type of agency. If you regularly deal with them for your line of business, of course, you will then familiarize yourself with some of its agents, okay? And of course, namesake wise. So they can give you the specification. If you feel in any way, shape, or form that you just, that the North Carolina Department of Revenue's website is just too full, if you feel like it's intimidating, and I mentioned to you, I admitted this early on in our 3-minute rise and grind, that it can be very, very intimidating. There's a lot on the North Carolina Department of Revenue website. There's a lot of information on the North Carolina Secretary of State website, as is the IRS. It can be overwhelming, and it is a constant learning and ensuring that you are up to speed on changes, because there are amendments, because all of these agencies are governed by legislation, and the legislation is amended over time or repealed over time. Some things apply, some things no longer apply. Okay, so just contact the North Carolina Department of Revenue. They'll give you this very specific information you need, and then that way you have it as a fiduciary. We know, I reckon for those of you who are not familiar with the term fiduciary, for those of you who are, this is in no way, shape, or form to insult your intelligence. For those of you who aren't, it is that person of authority, position, or knowledge, expertise that we place our trust in. So they have, and it's inherent to their position. So there's an expectation that they will conduct themselves in a way befitting your trust. They have that authority of power. Okay, so of course, North Carolina Department of Revenue would qualify, or the agents thereof would qualify generally as a fiduciary. A lawyer would qualify as a fiduciary. A CPA, a tax preparer, an accountant. All those things are fiduciaries. Okay, so they would be able to give you the accurate information, and you would be able to, generally and reasonably so, assign some type of, okay, this has to be accurate because I received this information from you. There you have it. Excuse me. Whew. All right, the weather is changing, and yes, that's why I'm sitting by the fireplace. Okay, last 3 things. All right, so you're going to keep separate account for it, which we already know. Your primary line of business is retail, okay? Your third-party retailer usually assumes tax payment responsibility, but be sure. This is the same that I was mentioning about Teespring. I will find out even more and how seamlessly this relationship will work come January. And then I'll inform you. But you can always speak to them directly, whomever your third-party retailer is, to ensure that this matter is addressed and correctly so. And then, of course, your 1099. This is going to be all income aside from your traditional income that you need to report to the IRS. And this can be from that third-party retailer. And just make sure that if they have collected tax, because if they haven't, then that will cut into your actual profits. So this is why it is important to ensure that you are completely familiar with sales and use tax as much as you reasonably can be, and that you at the very least make sure that you stay in the know consistently. All right? So until next time, if I don't get any requests for the Saturday 9-minute rewind, then I will see you on Monday. All right. Have a wonderful day.